Is Blake Lively and her legal battle between Justin Baldoni, Steve Sarowitz, and Wayfair causing real-life crime?
Blake Lively just got humiliated again after new extortion evidence surfaced involving billionaire Steve Sarowitz.
Steve Sarowitz and his home was the subject of an arson battle in Highland Park, Illinois.
His home was set on fire, his daughter was threatened, and the criminal quoted Blake's own lawsuit like it was scripture.
This story is crazy, and Blake Lively was mentioned in the case.
While lives were being terrorized, Blake stayed silent, pretending it wasn't her circus or her flames.
This is a horrible look for Blake Lively. This would be horrible.
Steve Sarowitz's house didn't just get hit by bad luck. No, his home got straight up attacked on April 28, 2024 at 3:25 a.m. because apparently someone watched too many Netflix thrillers and thought they were auditioning for the villain role. The guy's garbage can was doused with flammable crap and torched like it owed someone money. And this isn't even the worst part. This wasn't some punk kid with a lighter. Prosecutors made it crystal clear. This was intentional, a warning shot.
Prosecutors say suspect committed arson and tried extorting billionaire family in Highland Park by threat of kidnapping. This dude, I'll tell you all about the story, and that is Steve Sarowitz, here in Highland Park in Illinois.
And just in case burning property wasn't dramatic enough, the arsonist decided to double down with a full-blown extortion plot. Because what screams genius criminal louder than threatening to kidnap a billionaire's daughter? Yep, that's right. A college-age girl, just living her life, going to school, probably stressed over exams and roommates, and now suddenly her name's being thrown into ransom messages? That's trauma, not tabloid material.
Prosecutors say a suspect committed arson at a billionaire's family home and then threatened to kidnap their daughter if they did not provide him $80,000 in cash.
But here's where it gets cinematic. Because the ransom messages, they weren't just demanding money. They dragged in none other than Blake Lively. Yes, that Blake Lively. Hollywood's favorite golden girl who thinks she's the second coming of feminism because she wore a power suit to a Vogue shoot once.
We know that he's the founder of Wayfair Studios. We know him as also being named as the defendant in this lawsuit from Blake Lively. We know him as being part of the co-producer of It Ends With Us.
The messages claimed Sarowitz was prepared to drop $100 million just to ruin her and her family. $100 million. To destroy the woman who thinks activism is posting about florals during a sexual assault subplot. Make it make sense.
A part of the film production company that is involved in an active lawsuit against Blake Lively and other Hollywood producer. Now here's the kicker. The attorney said the drama involved the Hollywood debacle.
Now pause. While Steve Sarowitz's family is living a real-life horror movie, what's Blake doing? Standing up for safety? Showing concern? Condemning the threats? No, she's too busy posting red carpet selfies with captions like, "Bloom where you're planted. Honey, your reputation is in flames, and you're over here doing a lifestyle blog cosplay." The silence is louder than the fire alarms.
I overheard, or I was told by Steve Sarowitz, that he was willing to spend all this money to ruin Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively.
Let's talk about this criminal mastermind for a sec. Eduardo Aragon, 25 years old and unemployed for 2 straight years, so clearly thriving. This guy texted Jessica Sarowitz asking for $80,000 in unmarked, non-sequential bills, like he thinks he's in Ocean's 11. And what did he say? Something out of a bad thriller script. If you're willing to spend $100 million to ruin Miss Lively, surely you can spare a few for your daughter. Excuse me, sir? Since when is Blake Lively the barometer for ransom logic?
They're going along these lines that Steve Sarowitz said, that I will destroy Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I will spend $100 million to destroy Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively.
It gets darker. This genius didn't just threaten, he stalked. He texted their daughter, naming her college and sorority house address. That's not just scary, that's chilling. This girl's supposed to be focusing on finals, not figuring out if she's being watched. And the clown behind this mess thought using the Highland Park Library's Wi-Fi would keep him safe. He got caught on camera, Like, if you're going to commit a felony, maybe don't do it with a ring cam recording your every move from the parking lot.
But Jessica, the wife, the mom, receives a text message from this unknown number that indicates a threat of kidnapping their daughter if the family does not provide $80,000 in unmarked, non-sequential bills. This is a movie plot, okay?
So let's be clear. Blake Lively's name wasn't just whispered in gossip circles. It was right there in the threats. The ransom notes weren't vague. They literally referenced a vendetta involving her. This means her Hollywood lawsuit drama didn't just spill into headlines, it leaked into real-life violence. That's not branding. That's collateral damage.
But at the end of the day, this does not look good for Blake Lively. So if the CIA, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively side thinks in any capacity that this guy would be a good thing for them, opposite. This is a horrible look for Blake Lively.
Now, you'd think any normal public figure with half a brain would jump in and distance themselves from something this insane. Say something. Issue a statement. At least pretend to care that your name's being dropped in felony threats. But nope. Blake Lively, not a peep. Radio silence. Either her PR team is comatose or she truly thinks she's too shiny to get smoke on her hands.
It said if you fail to comply, we will take their daughter's name hostage. And she won't make graduation. At that point, we will ask for more money. If you guys are prepared to spend $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her family, we are sure you can spare a few for your daughter.
And while we're on her PR, can someone explain how she still has this feminist label glued to her name? The same woman who had a plantation-themed wedding. The one who ignored domestic abuse themes in her last film so she could talk about seasonal dresses. That woman. She's being referenced in an extortion case tied to a potential kidnapping, and she's got nothing to say? Please.
How can we find out who this Eduardo guy is? Where did he find all this information?
This isn't just another chapter in a messy celebrity lawsuit. This is serious. This is real. And every second Blake Lively stays silent, she's making it louder. This isn't about whose side you're on in some Hollywood feud. It's about the reality that a billionaire family's home was burned, a daughter was stalked, and someone thought the name Blake Lively was their golden ticket to blackmail.
Another message was sent on Thursday to the daughter identifying her college and the address of her sorority house where she frequently visits. Okay, Miss Honor Roll, we know you're at the address. You guys are not untouchable. You can upgrade your security all you want and that still won't stop us.
And yet she's parading around acting like she's untouchable. Newsflash. When your name is showing up in criminal demands, you're already in the mess. Pretending it doesn't exist doesn't make you innocent. It just makes you indifferent. And that might be worse. So no, this isn't about cancel culture or celebrity drama. This is about accountability. Because Blake, darling, this isn't Gossip Girl. You don't get to just walk out of the scandal with perfect hair and a closing line. Welcome to real life.
Part of the consequences of this entire thing going public is that people are taking this to their advantage. Steve Sarowitz, to me, seems like a very, very wealthy guy with good intentions.
Let's talk about Eduardo Aragon. Because this guy didn't just wake up one day and say, you know what, I think I'll light up a billionaire's garbage can and casually threaten his daughter. No, this was premeditated, weirdly obsessed, and deeply personal. 2 years out of work, and suddenly Eduardo decides to make his big comeback by becoming the Dollar Tree version of the Zodiac Killer. All while name-dropping Blake Lively like she's some kind of Hollywood demigod.
Prosecutors say that this man, his name is Eduardo Aragon. This guy on the left, this suspect committed arson, tried extorting billionaire family in Highland Park by threat of kidnapping.
There's no direct line tying her to this lunatic, but the way her name was dragged through every single one of his messages, that doesn't scream coincidence, that screams obsession. This wasn't just some I need rent money type of crime. This was full-on parasocial meltdown. Dude was out here spoofing phone numbers, using anonymous texting tools, hiding behind internet apps like a teenager trying to sneak onto a dating site. Classic budget Bond villain energy.
You can leave the lights on, you can upgrade your security, and we will still get by. Understand we took precautions to stay hidden and we are prepared to ruin all your lives. We're not asking for millions, just for $80,000. That's nothing to you people, the message said.
Eduardo thought he was outsmarting everyone using library Wi-Fi like he was Jason Bourne, but in reality, the cameras caught him like he was shoplifting candy bars. And what really chills the spine? He knew exactly where the Sarowitz daughter lived. Not just the college, her sorority, her dorm, her movements. That's not desperation, that's stalker-level commitment.
Eduardo Aragon of Highland Park was seen on surveillance video coming to the library parking lot at night, using the free Wi-Fi at the same time the messages were sent.
So now the question becomes, was he acting alone or was he weaponized? Because you don't wake up unemployed for 2 years and suddenly go full mission. Impossible against a billionaire and his daughter unless something or someone pushed you. Maybe it was just blind obsession, or maybe it was strategic manipulation. Either way, Blake's name being used as the driving force makes her look less like a victim and more like an instigator by proxy. She didn't light the match, but her silence sure fanned the flames. Now let's get into that $100 million whisper war, shall we? Because somehow that exact number made its dramatic entrance straight into a ransom note. The same figure that Blake's legal team claimed Sarowitz was supposedly spending to destroy her reputation. Oh, really? So now Eduardo is quoting Blake's lawsuit like it's scripture? Either he's an unusually loyal fanboy, or he's picking up intel from someone playing a very dirty game.
Aragon confessed that he was the one that started the fire on the Sarowitz property. He admitted going to the library and sending the messages over Wi-Fi demanding the $80,000 to not kidnap the family's daughter. He had been out of work for 2 years and needed the money.
There is zero actual evidence Sarowitz said he'd spend that kind of money to ruin Blake Lively. No court records, no audio leaks, nothing concrete. But here we are, with that phrase being used as leverage in a felony-level extortion case. That isn't coincidence. That's either a well-timed manipulation or a grotesque example of how celebrity drama can spiral into criminality. And if Blake's PR team thinks this is just another headline to sweep under the rug, they're not just incompetent, they're reckless. Let's get real. If your legal filings are inspiring extortion plots, it's time for a full system audit. Either the messaging was sloppy enough to be misused by psychos, or someone from Team Lively left breadcrumbs for a moron like Eduardo to follow. Whichever way you cut it, it's dangerous. This is no longer about who's right in the courtroom. This is about who's giving deranged people the ammunition they need to commit actual crimes.
He was charged on 1 count of arson, 6 counts of intimidation, and 1 count of harassment through electronic communication. The lawyers claims that, Aragon put a price on the lives of the family. The defendant premeditated his actions, had the means and sophistication to find the phone numbers of the family members.
And speaking of crimes, let's talk about how Eduardo got caught, because honestly, it's embarrassing. The FBI and Highland Park police didn't have to work that hard. They tracked him using basic digital warrants, standard IP tracing, and the kind of surveillance footage any YouTuber with a ring light could have analyzed. Eduardo used the public library's Wi-Fi, at night, while wearing a face that screamed, "I did it." Like, sir, if you're going to commit arson and extortion, maybe don't do it from a building with security cameras and an open parking lot.
And tried to shadow himself by using internet phone apps and public Wi-Fi to avoid detection. The prosecutor said the messages were not only meant to serve the purpose of greed, but also to invoke fear in the Sarowitz family, with Aragon researching where the daughter was going to school.
Oh, and that gift he left at the Sarowitz residence? Forensic evidence traced it right back to him. Combine that with his confession, and it's pretty much case closed. He's now officially charged with 1 count of arson, 6 counts of intimidation, and 1 count of harassment through electronic communication. Congratulations, Eduardo. You went from unemployed loser to federal defendant faster than Blake Lively changes accents on press tours.
The defendant took substantial steps to terrorize his family, and he has succeeded in placing them in a constant state of fear for their safety.
Mark your calendars. May 29th, 2025. That's when Eduardo's back in court. Security will be tighter than Blake's Met Gala corset, and you better believe this circus is far from over. What's wild is that the deeper we go into this mess, the worse Blake looks. Her name, her words, her silence, it's all echoing through courtrooms and case files like she's the ghostwriter of a criminal manifesto.
I believe it's very easy for a lot of people to lie on the stand.
But hey, maybe she's too busy planning another plantation-themed event to notice. Or maybe she's still trying to figure out how to make women's rights sound like a perfume ad. Either way, her refusal to speak, to condemn, to clarify, it's not noble, it's negligent. And when a billionaire's daughter is being threatened with kidnapping and your name is being weaponized to do it, you don't get to play dumb. You don't get to sip on iced matcha and pretend this isn't your mess too. You'd think being a billionaire might buy you some protection from chaos, but nope. Not when Blake Lively's lawsuit energy is floating around like toxic smoke. Steve Sarowitz, the man behind Paylocity since 1997, Blue Marble Global Payroll since 2013, and co-founder of Wayfarer Studios, is learning that even 8-figure net worths can't stop a deranged loser from torching your front yard. His home wasn't just targeted, it was breached, set on fire, turned into the backdrop for a crime scene that could have been ripped out of an HBO docuseries.
But Steve Sarowitz, from all the research I've done, seems like a very philanthropic, good man. He seems like he is a man that likes to donate his money. He likes to give. He seems like he's behind good causes.
And let's not forget Jessica Sarowitz. This woman isn't just a billionaire's wife sipping green juice in a glass mansion. She's the managing partner of Forest Bay Partners, a family office overseeing a range of private businesses. She's a heavy hitter, she's running empires, and yet even she got dragged into this mess by some clown with a gas can and a Wi-Fi signal. She's not playing PR games on Instagram. She's literally receiving threats about her daughter being kidnapped. And that daughter? A college honor student with chronic migraines. Yeah, real life. Not some Blake Lively scripted trauma porn.
The Wayfarer Foundation is, of course, as you know, closing down because of all of this drama. We have a lot of roadblocks ahead, but to terrorize his family, he and his wife and his daughter because of this, and using this to advantage and using Blake Lively's name, like, this is too far.
But here's Blake Lively, the walking Instagram filter with a god complex, acting like this is just another Tuesday. She's ignoring the fallout like she's above it all. Meanwhile, a real family with actual reputations built on work, not Vogue spreads, is under siege. Blake built her empire on designer gowns and feminist slogans that evaporate the second real responsibility shows up. Jessica Sarowitz built hers on actual business, real leadership. But somehow it's Jessica's world that's going up in smoke, literally, because some internet deranged freak latched onto Blake's storyline and turned it into a manifesto. And let's talk about irony. Steve Sarowitz is a devout member of the Baha'i faith, a religion based on unity, peace, anti-gossip, and non-violence. He's literally out here trying to make the world a better place. And what does he get? A garbage can fire, extortion threats, and his daughter stalked like she's in a season finale of You. While Sarowitz promotes harmony, Blake's silence helps fuel paranoia and chaos. Baha'i preaches integrity. Blake preaches Instagram captions written by her PR intern. If anyone's being crucified here, it's not Hollywood royalty. It's a guy whose only crime was backing a film starring someone with less PR training than a traffic cone.
But they had a fire in one of their garbage cans that's, of course, outside of their home. And it was filled with paint cans and other flammable accelerants. It burned to the ground and damaged the home's lawn. But that's very scary to know that your garbage can outside of your house is torched and burned to the ground.
Now, let's talk about what really hit below the belt. The collapse of the Wayfarer Foundation in April 2025. An organization that funded mental health support, youth outreach, and social equity programs across the country, gone, shut down. Pulled from existence not because of failure, but because of legal costs, PR fires, and fallout from a lawsuit that should have been buried under common sense, but no. Blake Lively's empire of delusion had to come crashing down on something, and apparently, it was a foundation trying to keep vulnerable kids off the streets. Good job, girl boss.
He is trying to protect Justin Baldoni, and he is trying to protect the name of Wayfarer and his producers on this film. He is also someone of the Baha'i faith.
The kicker? Nobody's talking about it. The media's too busy covering Kim Kardashian's latest iced coffee run to mention that a philanthropic empire just folded. Local Illinois outlets and one or two brave creators like Daily Dose of Donna are the only ones sounding the alarm. Meanwhile, Queen Blake, former high priestess of empowered storytelling, hasn't even bothered to send a tweet. Nothing. No statement, no acknowledgement, not even a fake publicist email written on Notes app font. The woman who built her brand on standing for women, for justice, for good vibes and cottagecore feminism, she's suddenly mute. But you know what she did have time for? Posing at events with forced laughter and flower crowns like she's spiritually above all this? Girl, your fake feminist campaign just helped sink a foundation and you're playing dress up? Get real. Steve and Jessica Sarowitz had to watch their life's work dismantled one headline at a time, and Blake Lively couldn't be bothered to drop a line of sympathy. Zero class, not even a sympathy emoji, not even a sending thoughts placeholder. Just vibes. And before the Blake defenders start shrieking, "But she's not responsible for Eduardo Aragon," you're right. She didn't set the fire. She didn't type the threats. But her name was used in a crime, her narrative, her lawsuit language, her legal PR, and she said absolutely nothing while people suffered real consequences. That's not grace, that's negligence.
He is detained and he is scheduled to appear in court again on May 29th for a preliminary hearing.
This is where it gets disturbing. This isn't just Hollywood drama anymore. This is a blueprint for how celebrity narratives can leak into reality and light it on fire. Literally. The Sarowitz family is being terrorized. Their daughter's name is in threat messages. Their home was burned. Their foundation destroyed. And Blake Lively is out here spinning it like some kind of cinematic arc in her own hero journey. Except in this story, she's not the hero. She's the plot device that led to someone else's ruin.
We are prepared to ruin all your lives over a little bit of money. The next fire we start will be from the inside, the message said.
And here's the really sick twist. Her silence is the headline. While everyone else is scrambling for damage control, Blake is doing performance art with her quiet detachment. And for what? To protect her feminist image? If feminism means letting a charity burn to the ground and watching a family get stalked in your name without lifting a perfectly manicured finger, then congrats. Blake Lively has officially redefined it, because this isn't a question of guilt. It's a question of accountability. She doesn't need to go to court, but she does need to show the bare minimum of human decency. Acknowledge that her legal narrative was co-opted by a criminal. Show concern for the innocent people affected. Offer words, support, anything that proves she has an ounce of empathy. But no, the Blake brand only works when she's in full control of the narrative. And this one, she can't spin it, so she's pretending it doesn't exist. Blake, here's the hard truth. Silence is not innocence. Not when your name is showing up in felony-level crimes. Not when someone's daughter is getting threatening texts. Not when a fire is being set in your name. You don't get to act like this is beneath you. You're in it. You're part of it. And the world is watching how you choose to show up. Or hide. So, no, you're not the misunderstood icon in this story. You're the ghost that lingers in every threatening message. The unspoken subject behind every news headline. You're finally the main character, Blake. But not in the rom-com you were hoping for. You're the twist in someone else's horror story. And the credits aren't rolling anytime soon. Blake's silence is deafening. So what do you think she's really hiding? Hit that subscribe button and let's expose more together.